Welcome to the Blessed to Teach show. This is Rick, your host. We're here on Friday, March 1st, and we're talking about buy, B-Y-E is what Trump says, buy crooked Hillary in one of his tweets. Q posted as well. So it's exciting times going on, and here we're going to start rolling on this. We got also Neon Revolt posted well, talking about Gab and the Dissenter, a game-changing comment for the internet, a commenting engine for the internet. It's awesome. We're talking about that. But hey, we got Amy on and Sand and Barbara. Good to see you guys. We got Stephanie from Oklahoma. We got people from San Francisco and Montana, Hawaii, Minnesota, New Zealand. Thank you. California, Oregon, New York, Georgia, Waco, Texas, Honolulu. Let's get rolling here. Again, buy Hillary Clinton is what Trump's talking about. And Neon Revolt talks about a new Gab/Dissenter comment tool for the internet and a ton of QAnon news. Let's get into this here on the Blessed Cheat Show on March 1st. So I'm going to start here with getting into the Q post here. You know, we had all these testing devices. So obviously he's testing all these different devices, I would guess. So since he started on 2907, test 7. Here you got 2908, test 8. And there were some others that were done earlier. Test 11, test 12. So everybody is assuming that Q is testing different devices. Or, you know, they talked about this being between 5 and 10 people. So there could be multiple people actually posting, right? And then he gets into this meaty post, which we're going to go get right into right after we talk about the sponsor of this episode, which is really My Patriot Supply. And if you think about this, emergencies usually strike without warning. We're surprised when the power goes out. Hurricane Michael hit, well, with little warning. Certainly with earthquakes, there's no warning. These things happen. And when it's breaking news, it's too late to prepare. Now you're in a panic scramble. The best thing to do is to prepare for emergency situations while things are calm. Ask yourself, could you feed yourself or your family for 2 weeks with the food you have at home at this moment? If not, it's time to act and secure an emergency food supply. I trust and use My Patriot Supply and recommend you do trust them as well. The 2-week food kit gets you started, only available right now for a special price of $75. And you go to my special website, preparewithrick.com. The food kits from My Supply include meals that last up to 25 years in storage. You get breakfast, lunches, and dinners, and they ship discreetly to your door. Order now and be prepared so there's no surprises. Again, this is preparewithrick.com. Not only can you get this for $75, for less than double the price, you can get more calories per day, more food varieties from 8 to 15, from 1,500 calories to 2,000 calories for the 4-week food supply. If you want to upgrade to the 4-week supply, most people say have at least 6 weeks per person on hand, especially with the potential riots, etc., coming on. So again, go to preparewithrick.com to get your emergency food. Let's talk about this awesome tweet. We only have one today. This one drop. That was 2912, and this was on, again, March 1st. But it's a meaty one, and it's all about Trump. So basically, some of you probably saw this and follow his Twitter. His first one says, "Oh, I see. Now that the 2-year Russian collusion case has fallen apart, there was no collusion except by crooked Hillary." Jeez. I got to slow down here, guys, because I'm excited about this. So this is Trump saying, "Oh, I see. Now that the 2-year Russian collusion case has fallen apart, there was no collusion except by crooked Hillary, BYE, and the Democrats. They say, quote, gee, I have an idea. Let's look at Trump's finances and every deal he has ever done. Let's follow discredited Michael Cohen." And then he follows on, ... with this tweet here, which says, "and the fraudulent and dishonest statements he made on Wednesday. No way. It's time to stop this corrupt and illegal bot witch hunt. Time to start looking at the other side where real crimes were committed. Republicans have now been abused long enough. Must end now." And Q's just basically reposting what he said with a little bit different geography. I mean, a little bit different with these brackets here. So let's see. It says, oh, I see. Now that the 2-year Russian collusion case has fallen apart, there was no collusion except by, in brackets, crooked Hillary and the Democrats. They say, gee, I have an idea. Let's look at Trump's finances and every deal he has ever done. Let's follow discredit Michael Cohen and the fraudulent and dishonest statements he made on Wednesday. No way. It's time to stop this corrupt and illegally brought witch hunt. And he has in brackets, Q does, time to start looking at the other side where real crimes were committed. It says Republicans have been abused long enough. Must end now. Carpet bombs are okay. Tactical nukes are better. Minus 21 in brackets. Minus 20. Minus 19. Minus 18. The countdown that he was talking about earlier. So you probably saw I've been traveling. I was in a hotel. Took Wednesday off. We planned to be on a flight to get home in time to broadcast last night, but had a 5-hour delay on the plane. So it was a rough night of flying last night, so I didn't get to you guys. But this is amazing. If you start looking at this countdown he talked about earlier, right, where he talked about 21 days, big stuff will happen. So if you go Control F and just hit big, you'll probably see, here it is. It's right back here. It's 2903, where it says, let me blow this up so you guys can see it completely. And the Anon said, feels like Anons in U.S. will be up late tonight following POTUS Q in Vietnam. It's going to be historic. Planned long ago. And minus 21 in brackets. Within the next 21 days, big happenings are going to take place. Big happenings in capital letters. Q. And then if we go to today's post, it clearly has all these brackets. So let's go see what the brackets are, because sometimes that tells us stuff. The first one is by, B-Y-E. It was a purposeful. It wasn't by Hillary Clinton. Collusion except by crooked Hillary. Obviously, the correct spelling there is B-Y. But he put B-Y-E in his tweet. And then Q in his drop puts brackets around B-Y-E, meaning by. Hillary's going by. And then there's brackets down here in time to start looking at the other side where real crimes were committed. And then they actually have in brackets abused long enough, as far as Republicans have been abused long enough. So it's interesting that he says carpet bombs are okay, but tactical nukes are better. So supposedly there's some big things going to be happening. And I'm going to show a couple of them to you that I think are bombshells as we go through here. Let's dig into some of this news that I'm talking about here. Here's some people talking about this March 1st discussion. This is on vote.co, VOAT.co, that I like to go to. Shows this whole tweet. And here's the first upvoted post. I'm going to refresh this just in case, see if anything moved. Yeah, 14 upvotes. You can see this. It says Q has told us over and over again, everything has been planned for a long time. The plan isn't just since POTUS was elected. The plan, I believe, was developed when 9/11 happened and the White Hats saw how far the deep state was willing to go to kill 3,000 plus of its own people to create a war narrative. Therefore, the Patriots White Hats have had over 15 years to develop the perfect plan. Timing is indeed everything. So that was kind of I thought, an interesting quote there. Here's a meme here, 819, that shows everything. It has 1, 2, 3, and then a whole tweet from the past. But you can see it has what we just looked at, which was this 8:19 a.m. tweet by Trump earlier this morning, that went on, oh, I see, now that the 2-year Russia collusion case has fallen apart, there was no collusion except by Hillary Clinton, clearly showing the BYE crooked Hillary is all highlighted there in a red box. And then it's pointing to 819, which is Q drop 819 based upon the time of this, which he does often. So we'll go back and look at that in a second. But right now, if you look at 2724, it's a picture of Hillary, kind of a good meme right here to just copy this like I showed you. You go Command Option 4. It's my favorite way to do it. Woo! Looks like I hit something wrong there. See if I can get back to that. Okay. Where's my deal? Might have to, that was an awesome post too, so I'm going to have to go back to that. So Command Option 4 did not work. It's actually Control Shift 4 is what it does, and then it allows you to clip whatever you want, right? So that's exactly how you want to do that. Let me see if I back up if I can find that Gab article. There it is. So this is pretty cool. This is in Gab. I'm actually finding these things, which is this new thing, which I'm going to go over with you in detail in a second. And I think I can find that exact article. I think In the Matrix had it as well, if not. And we will find it. Ooh, a lot of new posts even since I was on this last. You can see all these different things coming from the boards on these in this Gab Great Awakening that Neon Revolt created. So this will be a great place for us to look to find these things going forward. I'm just going to go where I know I can find it. So In the Matrix, if you go to Twitter, one person to definitely follow who's been on the show before is In the Matrix. And right here, and you can see In the Matrix has a ton of different things too. Talked about this weaponized electromagnetic waves that we talked about with SB2, and a lot of other posts that he has. So he's really nailed this recently. Geez, that's funny because that wasn't on there 27 minutes ago when I was preparing. Hey, thank you, Susan Stowe. I appreciate that. And if we kind of continue to roll here, I'm going to have to go past all these that he just did 27 minutes ago because I saw this other tweet. Look at this. I'll show you this later, but look at that. On Times Square, looks like Q was showing up in the matrix.com with Q was showing up on Times Square, which is quite wild and fun. But I want to get back to this meme that I thought was one of the best ones of the day. So I had queued up for you until I hit the wrong buttons. Man, it's going to be frustrating and not be able to find it for me. It was in the thread. So we'll go over that in a little bit, but bummer. But anyway, the cool part about that was it goes to post 819. So we can come here and see it ourselves and go to post 819 because that was the time stamp, right? So you can go here and on a date range, or just come over here to the search here and go 819, and it actually can search on the number of the drop too. So here it is. So this is what he was pointing to, and you can see it talks about 221 posts, and this was posted on 223 of 2018 is how far he's going back here. And here we go. You got Trump warns world a very, very unfortunate phase 2 if North Korea sanctions fail. And so basically that's just showing that phase 2, no coincidences, that we have moved to phase 3, which is justice. That's the amazing thing and the fun thing here. It's so hot here, I'm going to turn my fan on. It's crazy. It's like freezing 33 degrees outside in Dallas, Texas here, but this office just gets so hot with being up high. Yeah, so pretty cool how you can search things. That's one thing I like to do is teach people how to use this too. So this is qmap.pub, and searching and be able to find things extremely quickly is one of my favorite things about it. So don't hit Control Command 4 if you want to be, especially when you're live showing people things. So that's was the March 1st discussion that we looked at. This is the QAnon new Gab Great Awakening. See, this is a Great Awakening site. I'm going to go over this in more detail later. But this is a Neon Revolt new board that he has, and there's quite a few people here. See the number of 2,337 members. He's the only arbiter of that. So if you trust Neon Revolt, this would be a good thing. If you don't trust Neon Revolt, not a good place to go. But some great anons here talking about different things and dropping different things you'll see here. And here's like a man arrested in attack on conservative activists at UC Berkeley. An update on that. There's new articles being put out by that, so that would be nice if that happens. There's a weird thing about the San Francisco Giants. Larry Bauer, he actually pulls his wife and fights with his wife in the middle of a park, and somebody caught it on video, which is kind of embarrassing for him. Whether that has anything to do with all this, who knows. The problem with socialism is you can't vote your way into it, but you always have to shoot your way out of it. As an example of some of the memes you can get from here on Gab. So go create a account on Gab.com, especially if everybody that's been banned on Twitter is moved over to Gab. This is the one that you can't even download on your phone. You have to use the web app on your phone because Apple won't and Google won't let you put it on there. Yeah, because they want to censor these other platforms that are doing so well. And so I'm still scrolling down here in an attempt to find Panic 21, 20, 19, 18 Q, right? Another great meme for you here. So I'm just showing you that there's all kinds of Twitter and Facebook, and also Gab has great memes for you to actually be able to grab and see all these different type of deals. And this was like 6 hours ago. You can see how exactly when these were loaded. But let's get into exactly this in more detail. And this is the post I wanted to go over with you. It's Neon Revolt's new post. He just put it up a couple hours ago on March 1st here. And just a quick announcement after the vid, guys. I made this quick 30-second bumper sticker late last night, and I hope you not only enjoy it, but use it to spread the word about the Great Awakening. So here's a little video that he put together to talk about his new site. Links in the description below. So doing that for the podcast listeners. The group is absolutely flourishing, adding over 1,000 users in just a couple of days after I announced it here on my site. But I hesitate to call it a complaint, but one of the issues I kept hearing was that people couldn't get onto Gab to use the G Great Awakening group because, Gab registration was closed at the time I went public with the group. You guys know I've been a big advocate for Gab over the past year, as it is probably the last platform out there that will allow us all to connect and speak freely and who won't censor our conversations, which is exactly why it's been targeted for such a long time, including the deadly false flag attack the deep state facilitated in order to deplatform the entire site itself. They literally had to flip over to entirely new internet providers, etc., and they shut down, I can't remember, for several weeks, I believe. That effort failed, and we've pushed forward spectacular, which is why I wanted to make the G Great Awakening group on Gab, so people would connect and interface with and bring everything they could to the great QAnon community. But when I launched the group, the big issue at hand was that Gab was getting attacked by bots DDoSing the site, bringing everything down. So they had to turn off new user registration for a bit, which meant new users couldn't register without an initiative code, which meant they couldn't read or participate in anything. So that wasn't fun for them. So what would we do? So if you haven't already, I would suggest getting in while the getting is good. So you can go just to gab.ai. We have some real superstars in the group tracking everything Q related. And as I said, often in the past, but I really want to underscore this today because it's more true than ever. No single one of us is smarter than all of us. So we're always going to do better the more we connect and share info. So go on, join the group. Here's a link. Also, but you'll notice I also added it to the menu bar here on the site in case you ever need to find the link. So if you just go to my show notes and click on this right here, you'll be able to find this real quickly and be able to join Gab as well as join the Great Awakening group. Again, so here it says also, since you're getting a Gab account, you should know about the brand new revolutionary feature they launched called Dissenter. This is a game changer, guys. And before I'm going to come back to this in a second, and I'm going to come all the way down here, show you a quick video on Dissenter, which allows you to comment on any website, even ones that don't allow for comments, and usually even the comments are censored when you do that. So let's listen to the first part of this.
I've been asked to do a tutorial or at least discuss Gab's new commenting plugin called Dissenter. This is a browser-based plugin that integrates with your Gab account, and it functions as the comment section for the entire internet. I strongly advise that you check this out because honestly, I think the claims that this is a game changer are probably accurate, and I usually would be pretty skeptical of such superlative claims. But what this platform lets you do is basically comment on any website anywhere, even on YouTube videos in limited state. So the censors will not be able to shut down the discussion of the public.
That's what's awesome about that. So you have that's real good in the tutorials if you want to learn how to use that as well, obviously. But this Dissenter app is amazing. I just started playing with it and it was amazing. So I went to like QAnon conspiracy and saw some of those deals, and I was able to comment on areas that didn't even have a comment section on them, right? So when other Gab users go there, which is growing and getting a very large community, especially of people that are red-pilled, then we're all commenting on these sites, and they can't stop us, they can't censor it. So it's a really interesting method. If you're not familiar, the basic idea of Dissenter is to put comments on every site on the internet, and it works brilliantly. Why is this necessary? Because it removes control from the leftist tech oligarchs. More and more, the big tech companies are censoring and trying to control the conversation by simply tearing out your tongue and making it so you don't have a voice. There's also the transparent, dehumanizing shame tactic they use of calling anyone who dissents a troll instead of, a living, breathing person who disagrees with the mainstream narrative. Rotten Tomatoes, for instance, recently removed the entire comment section from the Captain Marvel page. YouTube is disabling comments on entire channels, and Facebook and Twitter continue to deplatform and censor anyone they deem guilty of wrongthink. The Project Veritas publishing leaked documents revealing Facebook's deboosting a logarithm. Finally, officially, demonstratively confirming what many of us in this place has suspected for a long time. Heck, I watched Twitter censor and delete this meme in real time yesterday, which was posted in a comment under one of President Trump's latest tweets. So this is an awesome meme, by the way. I encourage you to come and again, see if I do this right, Command-Shift-4 in your Mac, right? And then you basically highlight what you want like this, boom, copies it as a picture, and then you'll be able to meme that in anywhere you would like. It says North Korea, and it has then, under President Obama, during Obama's last year in office, there were missiles launched every 24 days, versus now, under President Trump, 457 days without a missile launch. This shows you the difference in results that we're getting here. But what happened with Twitter? This particular image was first hidden behind a sensitive content warning, which forces you to click to see it. And after I had clicked it, and this is something I've never seen Twitter do before, but the page displayed the image for a couple of seconds and then of its own accord refreshed the entire page before displaying a notification that the selected tweet no longer exists. First, they lied about the image. There's nothing sensitive about this. There is no reason to hide it. It's just listing the facts. And then I watched them censor this image in real time. And until very recently, we had no real recourse. Sure, you could take your comments to your microblog somewhere, but the effect that was you were no longer part of the conversation. You were effectively shouting into a void because these oligarchs controlled the conversation. No more. Dissenter rips control away from these oligarchs and gives it back to you, the people, by allowing anyone to add whatever comment they want to whatever page they want. The effect of this is that there's a brand new comment section for every page on the internet. And it's not all the right people screaming blue bloody butthurt. Source Rent Boy, Jared Holt of the Right Wing Watch, was particularly mad and once again demonstrated his economic illiteracy, advancing the crackpot lie that Gab had somehow lied to in its SEC filings and thus was in some kind of legal trouble. It's not. Jared is just an idiot, the literal idiot who is paid to lie. So here he is. You can see Gab made some glitchy, stupid commenting system that no one who doesn't have it installed can read. But more importantly, Gab lied to its investors, which is a crime in the U.S. And if you look here, he says, Metro tried the anchoring tactic of trying to associate a controversial public figure with Dissenter. So here's Tommy Robinson fan found Vice editors didn't have to go through their usual editorial process, and were able to spare their throwing arms. Users of far-right social network Gab can now comment on the entire internet. Oh, whoa. There's a joke in there that that you can go look at and figure out what he was actually saying there. And some tranny over at the Daily Dot really didn't like the fact that people will now be able to remind her nonstop that she'll never be able to chop off that pesky Y chromosome, even if she pays thousands upon thousands to get surgically mutilated. Here it says, meet Dissenter, a far-right comment section for hating on journalists. So all these paid Mockingbird Media 4 a.m. talking point cabal-controlled journalists, right? They don't want anybody to be able to comment on their articles. So yeah, all the right types are really mad about this, and that's because Dissenter represents a genuine paradigm shift, which is rare in this day and age, and it accomplishes this by tipping the scale of power back to the user. And he's got a little Tommy legendary, Tron legendary, a fight for the user. They fight, the end of it, he's destroying the evil people trying to take over the game, and he fights for the user, right? So we're fighting for we the people. Like, this is an issue that near and dear to my heart. But the reason computing used to be so revolutionary was that it was fundamentally designed to empower the individual user. But these tech companies grew larger and larger. They wrestled that natural control away from the user and started making it so, for instance, you didn't have administrator rights to your own phones or the devices you bought. Now they sell literal spy bots under these guise of security, such as the microphone that was built into the Google Nest products, which wasn't disclosed until after it was already in everyone's homes. Nothing to see here. Google's Nest secret microphone was never intended to be a secret, right? If the tech, right, just because they've got caught, that's what happened. If tech isn't empowering the user, the owner it's powering someone else by default. And those someones aren't to be trusted because they've been shown time and time again to abuse this power and use it to create leftist systems of control and coercion. And this old post from 4chan clearly articulates why left relies on these systems of control. So again, here's an 8chan post here. It says, good for whom? When it said you only had to listen, right? Because they were trying to control us. The reason the left is so terrified of 4chan and the open dialogue in general is because leftism requires artificial supports. Anyone who ever interacted with a human being for 5 minutes knows that men and women are different. But leftists say we're all from the same blank state and only differ based upon how we are socialized. Since they can't win a war of ideas because they're wrong and retarded, they instead restrict the kind of things you can openly discuss, and even the venues. On the other hand, 4chan is freedom. You can say whatever you want, no bots to mass flag and remove like on Twitter or downvote like on Plebit, and no persistent identity so you can make sure only right thinkers get a platform. Every single post stands on its own, on their own merits. Since leftist dogma has no merits, they have to create their little gay echo chamber to survive. When leftists come here to fight the Nazis, they have to deal with dissenting arguments and evidence for the first time in their entire lives. If they keep coming back, it will eventually break them out of their faggotry. Former leftist. So this former leftist came to 4chan arguing with everybody, and he had to see evidence, and he actually became a red-pilled person. Dissenter brings freedom back to every site on the internet. Essentially, you use Dissenter in two ways, with the browser extension and with the main site at dissenter.com. You can use dissenter.com, but you're missing out on half the experience with the extension because the extension puts the comments right over the website you're currently visiting. So for instance, here I am using the Dissenter extension on Gab. I click the extension and it brings up a comment list of what people have said about this particular URL. In this case, google.com, and it's pretty funny. So if you look at google.com, the browser is going to actually show you a Dissenter comment, and it says, how did you get here? Did you spell DuckDuckGo incorrectly? So the joke here is that obviously what I encourage everybody to use is never use Google, because they're compromised searches. They're searches that are filtered for political correctness and anti-Christian, anti-white, anti-American, and pro-globalism. And so this, what you should be using for your searching is DuckDuckGo. You can go to duckduckgo.com. So how did you end up here? Did you spell duckduckgo.com incorrectly? All right, so that's a funny comment that you'll see if you use the browser plugin as well as Gab. Alternatively, if you want to use Dissenter site, I can enter a URL on the homepage and be taken to the associated comments in an instant. And the reason I wanted to show you this is just to kind of show you guys kind of some of these comments that are coming that can be on any website. I think it's a way for us to, I just want to encourage you to think about doing this. Get a Gab account and just and also download Dissenter, and you can actually comment on any site and see all these red pill people talking about every site that you visit. So it's really a cool thing. So let's take a look at what people have said about Soros rent boy Jared Holt's dumb tweet from earlier. And keep in mind, many of the people using Dissenter have been unfairly deplatformed from Twitter, so they would have no other way to say what they wanted to say. So this person says, "You mad?" about that, and says, "If Gab is floundering, why are Jared Holt and the SPLC so concerned?" Sort of answers itself, don't it? This person says, "No, we did not lie about anything. The SPLC doesn't know how to read. SPLC is a hate group. Why is Jared Holt angry about Dissenter?" So this goes on and on. It's just funny. If you can go see this, you can actually, here's the link to actually go, here's the actual link in case you want to join the fray. So here it is, HTTPS Dissenter, and you can actually go in and download Dissenter and join Gab. It's real easy, just as easy as it is like Minds.com or anything like that. And this is why Dissenter is so revolutionary. It's widely entertaining and destroys Silicon Valley's hegemony in one fell swoop. And here's we were watching.
So Gab just checkmated the entire internet, basically. They came out with another website called Dissenter. Now, the only way you could use Dissenter is if you have a Gab account. So, basically, if all the liberals really want to know what people think, they got to get a Gab account.
Which is kind of funny. So he's kind of making fun that they all have to get that to actually come and see what's going on. What are all they talking about? What are all these libertarians talking about, right? And as Andrew Torba himself pointed out, the Financial Times had a spectacular write-up on Dissenter today, calling it a $1 billion idea. So again, this came out on February 27th, and it shows Michael Cohen testifies before Congress. And here's somebody that says, "You love doing fake news." And here's another person that says, "He badly wants that book deal." So there's people discussing it for real versus all the comment section that's completely, censored. You're only going to get the liberal ideas who say, "Awesome, Michael Cohen's testifying," right? Introducing the shadow comment sector. And so that's what they're calling the shadow comment sector. You can basically comment on anything. And here's part of the article. It says, in response to the bans, they too have tried or are trying to take their significant volumes of followers to rival platforms to undermine the business of those who ban them, the Twitters and Facebooks and YouTubes. But the communities which support them aren't just stopping there, they're also innovating. The most recent innovation is Dissenter, the brainchild of the Gab community, and would be free speech rival to Twitter. Thus far, the core platform has failed to gain the traction desired by the deplatformed. Hence, Gab has come up with Dissenter, a plugin which developers hope will forge a truly Habermasian comment section of the internet that basically rides atop of any website you visit in ghostly, shadowy style. It's hard to question the elegance of the idea. Dissenter travels with you wherever you go on the internet. If you're plugged into the Dissenter community, a person can theoretically comment at will on any story without fear of blocking, muting, editing, bozoing, or banning by the website proprietors in question. There's a clear demand for this sort of freedom. Some argue the concept is therefore a $1 billion idea with the potential to completely disrupt conventional media's control of the comment real estate. If it does take off, house rules could become a thing of the past, and bad or offensive feedback could become unsuppressible. So guys, that's why I'm just encouraging you. The reason I spend so much time on this thing is because I think it could be revolutionary, and if we all go to get a Gab account and start using Dissenter, we now are going to really start hurting Twitter and really supporting a platform that's actually now getting traction, has enough people on it. Then we got a Great Awakening site we can all be on that's got over 2,000 people on it that we can discuss things that without all the bots and the leftist bots and the Media Matters people in there faking like they're mad at QAnon and all that stuff. So anyway, Gab and Dissenter, I think it's a new awesome way for us as a community to really be communicating like we never had before. Leftists hate this because it utterly guts the artificial entrenched system they've built upon over the years. It showcases their loss of control and forces they have to step into the arena of ideas again. And that is where they always lose, which is why Dissenter is most important than ever and couldn't come at a more critical time. Anyway, I hope you'll come and join us at the G/Great Awakening. That's in Gab. So it's a group within Gab, gab.ai. Just go to gab.ai in your browser, enter your email and create a user. It doesn't have to be yourself. It doesn't have to be a name for yourself. And I use Rick B2T as an example, and substantially have a blast using Dissenter. We're already a force to be reckoned with, which is why the cabal is spending so much energy composing these negative hit pieces against us. Little do they realize they've already lost. They've tried to plug up their ears and screech in the face of this new Trumpian reality they live in, entertaining delusions of impeachment and a 2020 victory. Little do they know, they've already been beaten in this area of ideas. The tables have turned in the digital space, and soon they will realize their lefty hug boxes, their echo chambers, their safe spaces, and already crumbling before their very eyes. And there's no preserving it or going back. The only question is, how long will it take for them to catch up with the rest of us, the forerunners of freedom? And this is that
extremely useful on many mainstream websites
tutorial
that have removed their comment sections. As you know, many of these publications are aware that user comments can sway public opinion and break the reality distortion field of their narratives. But Dissenter lets you comment anywhere. So get on Gab, get yourself an account over there, give me a follow, of course, and sign up to Dissenter, then download the plugin for your browser and check it out. By the way, this video is in no way sponsored by Gab, Andrew Torbat, or Dissenter. I'm just doing this on my own bat because I really think this service is fantastic. Let's take a look at it.
So I don't have time to show the rest of that, but there's another 3+ minutes of that. So go ahead and go to my show notes, go to this Neon Revolt post, and you'll be able to see that. Thanks so much for reading and sharing my articles today. And he sells these hats, by the way. So that's neonrevolt.com. If you want to go, just type it in right now, or go to my show notes, and everything I've shown you will come on here as well. So good stuff. That was from Neon Revolt. Hey, my other sponsor is trackathome.net. Trackathome.net. These devices are just amazing, I think, guys. I think I was telling you, you had to balance between long battery life. You have to have a big enough device for that, but it has to be small enough to where you can hide it. Put it in your pockets, put it in a backpack, put it in your suitcase in a little pocket, etc. And this will track your luggage. It'll track it. You can put it in a backpack for your kids. So things like car theft and things like human trafficking to all the way to just putting around a loved one that is an older person, right? I think this is really they've got that balance right. So go check out trackathome.com. If you use BLESS20 in the coupon code, you're going to get a 20% discount of all the pricing they're showing you. You can buy multiple of these and get more discounts and get a better price for each device. And then obviously you got the GPS tracking on this. So it increases location visibility of all kinds of things. There's some people talking about exactly how they use it for different cars or different type of things. But again, trackathome.net, and make sure you use BLESS20 to get your 20% discount on this GPS tracking device. Is there precious things that you want to track? Try trackathome.net. All right, let's move to some more news. Here's some of this information that's on I think this is Gab, actually. Let's see if I make sure I get back to the first part of this. Yep, this is it here. So it says, this Anon says, those of you who are the real deal, not LARPers, not shills, not S-posters, or disruptors, or fame fags, you are an anomaly in their matrix. You stand out like Neo. Remember Neo in the movie The Matrix? The wizards and warlocks of the good guys and the controllers of this ancient cabal, the bad guys were fighting, noticed you. You and this board are anomalous in their world. Their world operates in a different plane of consciousness. Normies don't see it, so they blend in. You don't blend in that way. Normies are people that just aren't red-pilled yet. They're blue-pillers, right? They just listen to mainstream media. And they believe mainstream media, unfortunately, all the talking points, the 4 a.m. talking points, right? You don't blend in that way. You were like Neo. You always knew something was a little bit off, but you couldn't quite put your finger on it. Soon you wondered why others couldn't see it. You are like pattern recognition software. You couldn't help but see it. The inconsistencies, the patterns, the anomalies. So you started to put together your own map in your head. And so you came here as an outlet. You came here to exercise your mental muscle that felt atrophied out there in the meat space of the world. You came here to commiserate with like-minded Neos who couldn't shake the nagging uneasiness that knowing things that aren't quite right brings. Yes, you built a space, and it got noticed. You became the fly in the ointment, the burr in the saddle, the gnat buzzing around the ears of them, the mosquito bite on, the matrix of the controllers. At the same time, the good guys were waiting for you, like Morpheus was waiting for Neo, looking, scanning, collating data, waiting for the right time and place. The controllers were getting close to the point of no return, and you, the Anons, had reached critical mass. What we experienced is a convergence of the inevitable clash of the titans, if you will. We were meant for such a time as this. So chins up, chest out, back straight, lean back and set them in and soldier on, Anon. S-posters and shills, disregard and get bent, loser. Godspeed. Where we go one, we go all. So this is a kind of a tribute to all the Anons out there that do all the hard work doing an investigation on obviously the on the 8chan boards, right? Here's Neon Revolt in his gab saying, "Holy shikes!" This is one of those booms that's starting to come out. One of these, he said, a lot of stuff's going to happen in 21 days. This is one of them. Holy shikes, the identity of the two remaining might have just been revealed. And Andrew Weissman and Zainab Ahmed. Full PDF here. This is really interesting, guys. Before I read and spoil it, I'm going to kind of go to this report. And you'll see Congress of the United States, House of Representatives. This was sent today. And it was sent to Bill Barr from, if you look back at the 4 pages of this, this was from Jim Jordan and Mark Meadows. And it basically says that according to the Constitution, when you do a special counsel, you're supposed to have unbiased people on, a lawyer with a reputation for integrity and impartial decision making with an appropriate experience to ensure both that the investigation will be conducted ably, expeditiously, and thoroughly, and that the investigation and prosecutorial decisions will be supported by an informed understanding of the criminal law and Department of Justice policies. Integrity and impartial decision-making. You think Andrew Weissman and this other guy fits those molds? But what this reveals is they were talking to Bruce Orr. They were getting information from Nellie Orr. They were actually multiple times informed that this was funded by a anti-Trump person. That this was written by an anti-Trump ex-spy from England named Christopher Steele. So we know that, right? And here it's Orr talking about it. And he talks about right here that he explained it very many times to all these people. I used I don't know if I use the term opposition research, but what I did convey to them, I told them this information I had gotten from Christopher Steele at some point. I don't remember exactly when. I don't think it was the first conversation. I told them that Christopher Steele was desperate that Donald Trump not get elected. So those are all the facts I provided to the FBI. So the FBI knew that this was biased information and it was opposition research, or had told them that. So he told the FBI that. But he also told Lisa Page, Peter Strzok, and also look at who was previously mentioned from the criminal division, Weissman and Ahmed. Come back here. It says so any of them have names when he's talking about, did you speak with anybody in the criminal division other than career officials? And he said yes. So I was about to tell you, one of them, Bruce Swartz, who is in the Counselor of International Affairs in the criminal division, a person who was working with him in the time, working in similar matters in the criminal division, was Zainab Ahmed, and a third person who was working in the somewhat of these matters, working on some of these matters, I believe was Andrew Weissman. So Andrew Weissman and Zainab Ahmed, who are on the special counsel, were working before the special counsel was formed with or getting all the dirt. So the criminals are in the henhouse, guarding the henhouse. And that's what Neon talks about. Be sure to pay attention to the pages 4 and 5 where they get named by Bruce Orr. Wow. And for those not quite getting it, look at the last page, screen cap 4 here. These were the ones funneling information to and from Fusion GPS and the State Department. And then they got put on Mueller's special counsel to investigate Russia collusion. Do you get it? The criminals were literally the ones in charge of the investigation. Wow. And this works either way. If Mueller is a bad guy, he's got bad guys working under him. If he's a good guy, he's kept his enemies very close. And you know I'm on the latter part of that argument. And look at the March 15th deadline from Reps Jordan and Meadows 2. Brilliant. So March 15th, which is close to that March 19th date and the 21-day, so it's within the 21-day countdown that they have to provide all this information. And so here's some of the highlights of that. You know, we just read that about Andrew Weissman and Ziad Ahmed. We just read about that. And it's referring back to drop 2731 that said, why, hours after the election, did 7 people travel to an undisclosed location to hold a very private and highly secured, guarded meeting? Think McCabe, number 2, regarding the meeting of 21st Amendment. Think Rod Rosenstein, wear a wire to attempt to entrap the 25th. 2 accounted for. Identify the remaining coming. So now most people are thinking that it's Weissman was in that meeting potentially, as well as Ziad Ahmed potentially. All right, let's look at some other things he clipped out. So here's Andrew Weissman right here. There's a picture of him. The pit bull, they call him Andrew. They call him Mueller's pit bull. Come on, come down for me. I blew it up too big and now it won't come down, so I'm going to have to take it back down. But that's him right here. Andrew Weissman, Mueller's legal pit bull. He ruined many people's careers at Arthur Anderson by using dishonest tactics to basically destroy all of Arthur Anderson. I used to work there, by the way. I was out of there by the time this happened, but I had many friends that literally bought into the partnership, had big retirement funds they had put in, and literally lost all their money because this guy illegally used his powers of the State Department. This is what the left is doing now. It's a police state. It's a police state against Trump right now. It's a police state against obviously everybody they've indicted so far. Police state tactics to take down and get power. That's exactly what's going on here. Zainab Ahmed, the Pakistani-American lawyer on the team of Trump nemesis. So there she is. This is the other one, the other criminal that's now being exposed. This is brand new. Today it came out that those 2 anti-Trumpers that on Mueller's counsel actually were working with Bruce Orr and getting all this, and they knew they should never have been on the council because they weren't independent, and they were working with the dirty dossier and knew it was completely built by somebody that hated Trump and it wasn't verified. We seek to learn whether Weissman and Ahmed disclosed their role in the transmission of anti-Trump information from Fusion GPS, and Steele, the department, as their appointment to the special counsel team. And obviously, they may not have, and which would make them guilty and Mueller not, which would be quite crazy. But that's the whole thing there that I thought was amazing. Again, you can find that on Gab and the Great Awakening, that Great Awakening site I talked about joining. Again, you can see all these on my show notes. There's a bunch of other great news that you can find there as well. Political Magazine here, it says, Republicans pressure Trump to back down on border emergency. Now, this happened back a couple of days ago, but the whole idea is just, or it was yesterday, 228. But Republicans pressure Trump to get back down on borders. Are you Are you kidding me? I mean, they're not going to override a veto anyway. But just the fact that Republicans are trying to do that, it just shows that we still have rhinos in there, right? Texas town's oil boom has barbers earning $180K. So the economy's doing good, guys. People are doing well in this economy. A man dedicated to standing up for the rights of infants refused to pay his taxes until government stops funding abortions. He took control and won his case. What a hero. So this guy, I think it's right here. Thought I had it up. But this guy right here literally won the case. Didn't pay taxes because he didn't want his money going to fund abortions. So, boom, acting Pentagon chief will endorse emergency declaration and free up $3.6 billion for the wall. So there we go. The Pentagon chief will actually give that $3.6 million over, so the wall is being built and continuing or getting to be finished. Judge orders release of Christopher Steele's deposition. So all of it's coming out now. This just happened yesterday. So it's all coming out, guys. It's not just a D-class. There's a lot of information coming out in the public through this. Am I the only one that thinks after these circus hearings are put to rest, a big hammer will come crashing down on the Dems? I think that's exactly what's happening with the Dems. Ninth Circuit gets another Trump-picked judge after White House bypasses consultation with the Dems. So they already put 3 in earlier. Here's another one. So he's cleaning up even the crazy ninth, right? Here's from Europe. Jealous of you all stateside. What a president. And so internationally they like us. And here, look at this. Here's an article about, unlike Trump, Trudeau is in the real trouble. So here's a global set of Canada. Just 3 weeks after the scandal broke, a former member of the Canadian PM's cabinet has testified that he tried to interfere in a criminal investigation. So he may be in more trouble, and with Trump's not going to be touched. Here we have the Gateway Pundit talking about newly uncovered evidence connects crooked Hillary and creepy Podesta to the fake Russian hoax before the election. So if you go look at WikiLeaks and look at the timing of some of the articles, people have just putting stuff together to show that it was obviously Podesta knew about these and was probably a part of the leaks and probably was the person leaking. Twitter quietly reinstates leftist account that was permanently banned for hate speech. So they'll ban 50 conservative sites and a couple of 3 or 4 or 5 liberal sites, and then they are reinstating the liberal ones. It's so obvious. It's so obvious. And here's the Time billboard I was telling you that had in the Matrix in the queue at Times Square. Jordan Sather basically had a tweet that said, Eric Trump tweeted and deleted a boom yesterday. James Woods tweeted and deleted simply a Q today. Loving the subtle public recognition. The Q cometh. And look at this. So he had Eric Trump put boom with 3 exclamation points and a fist. And then I guess he deleted it later. And then you had James Woods, Q. So these are big blue checkmark people now is coming out of the woodwork, right? Here's Lisa Crowley. 2 countdown. February the 26th was the minus 21 countdown. Today is minus 18. Tomorrow is minus 17. And so March 19th is 0 day. Countermeasures in place. Think emergency alert system. Think White House controlled new retweet news website. Think White House controlled new video platform. So all kinds of this is picking up, guys. Obama's secret pardons are gone with the pen. 2018 amendments to the Manual for Courts Martial United States EO effective January 1st. So this person went and looked at this EO a lot closer, and he said what it means is whomever was granted a secret pardon or deal from acts they committed prior to POTUS taking office used to be protected from prosecution of said acts. This executive order essentially nullifies any pardon or deal so that now they can be prosecuted and jailed. So I remember we talked about them catching people doing things afterwards, but now this amendment here, that was March 1st, 2018, 218 amendments to the Manual Courts for Court-Martial United States. Again, this is today, guys. So these things are happening. It's quite exciting. Here's Moon Russia bot hoax. A vast network of left-wing liberals and neoconservative hawks funded by Silicon Valley billionaires, USAID, and NATO seek to control the narrative through targeting influencers on social media. So you can see an article about just that. PSYOP, collusion, Russiagate, propaganda wars. So that is happening right now. I want to get on, and already 55 minutes, and I want to get to the prophecy next. That's the news. Again, you go to Blessed to Teach with a number 2 to actually get my actual show notes right here. And you can come right down here and just add yourself to the email list. It's the easiest way to get a link every time I'm done with the show notes. Okay? I'm on Twitter, and I'm on Facebook, and I'm Gab, etc. So go follow me on those different social media sites, and let's meme away, guys. That's going to be important. Let's look at a prophecy by Mark Taylor on 10/19/16 before the election. It talks about full circle. The Spirit of God says, Russia, that's right, Russia. I will use Russia, the United States of America, and her allies to take on the Fourth Reich called ISIS. For it has come full circle again. That's right, again. The New World Order is trying to rise and take its place, just like they did in World War II, using the Nazis. They will try again using ISIS. For this plague is spreading, but not for long. For they will be wiped out for their wrongs. For just as in World War II, America and her allies came in from the west, and Russia from the east, so shall it be again to slay this so-called beast, and it will be brought down to the least. Some will say, why would I use Russia? Am I not God of the cosmos? Guys, we saw that happen right before our eyes. He said this in 2016, and Trump did it. Not only did he get elected, he worked with Putin and made it happen. I will use anyone and any nation I choose, whether some like it or not. I will not be put in a box. The Spirit of God says, this ties that were severed between, the ties that were severed between America and Russia will begin to mend, and they will take on this so-called Goliath, and with one stone shall slay it, and all those that are behind it. For it is not just ISIS they will fight, but the elite, the globalist, and the Illuminati, who will be exposed by my light. For they are the enemy to the world and my agenda. They shall fall with a mighty blow, so that my gospel will begin to flow. For they wear the flag as if it were a prayer shawl, so they will be taken down with my shock and awe. For freedom and liberty will begin to ring, and the people will begin to sing. Healing and light come from my wings. My people rejoice and shout, for my gospel is coming and will go through all the earth, and all the nations will know. This is why my America was birthed. Oof, powerful word from Mark Taylor. If he's a true prophet, and these are true words coming from the Lord that he's recording, it's just amazing because it's talking about the globalists, and it's talking about the Illuminati and the elite going down and then being exposed by his light. He's been there, and that is just happening right now. We're seeing it right and left. And now it's accelerating. It's the most exciting thing. Now, one of my favorite verses, again, you can go to BibleMemory.com, or you can go to Bible Memory and download it on here. Search on groups and look at Blessed to Teach, and you'll find my 67 verses that I love and study. One of them is 1 Corinthians 1:22 and 23. And it talks about how we just need to preach Christ crucified. It's verse number there. I'm going to delete that. But let's just read 1 Corinthians 1, 22 and 23. Jews demand signs, and Greeks look for wisdom. But we preach Christ crucified, a stumbling block to the Jews and foolishness to the Gentiles. Wow, so this verse is just a powerful one to me, because it's just like some people that are really logical, they demand signs or they won't believe in God, right? And you have other people that are like the Greeks, where they really are always looking for wisdom, but they're actually fools, biblically defined, because they don't fear the Lord. And so the whole point is, it doesn't matter if people are trying to be wise or they're trying to want signs before they'll believe things. What do? We preach Christ crucified. And that's a stumbling block to many. And it's foolishness to others. So a lot of people think this message of the gospel is foolish. A lot of people think that it's Christ crucified. What's that all about? Well, it's just about a free gift that you can accept to go to heaven. Because we're all sinful, and the wages of sin is death. But the gift of God is eternal life in Christ Jesus our Lord. And it's a free gift. Right? So that we can't boast. It's 100% Jesus and 0% me. It's a beautiful gospel story. So come and join me on BibleMemory.com. I also use Bible.com. You can YouVersion, I think it is, on your phone. And you can follow me there. Look for Blessed to Teach there as well. And I just finished a year and a half plan. It was a year plan, and it took me a year and a half to get through it, the whole Bible. But now I'm starting another one in the New Testament. So we can share verses, share our growth in Christ. It's an awesome thing. Let me pray. Heavenly Father, thank you so much for this platform, be able to talk to people live like this right now, thousands of people, and then even more, tens of thousands of people afterwards. What a privilege it is for this platform. Lord, just cloak us from those who would want to ban us. If we get banned, Lord, give us another platform that we can use to do something very similar. Lord, give us wisdom and discernment to know what's true. There's so much disinformation out there, and people trying to confuse all of us and trying to get us to fight and divide us every way they can. Lord, I pray we can have unity, at least on the big rocks of who you are as God, who Jesus is, what the gospel is, and we can have unity around the big rocks of the red pill movement, which is really just around the mockingbird media and the elite trying to control us, control our minds, and thinking for ourselves. Doesn't mean we agree on everything, but it means that we agree on fighting this MSM and taking down the elites, taking down the criminals out of our government, and ripping out the unrighteousness. What a beautiful thing it's going to be to see them all fall. Thank you, Lord, for putting your hand on this country and healing it, helping patriots worldwide. And we say these things in the mighty name of Jesus Christ. Amen. All right, guys, thanks for joining me today on a Friday night. I'm going to go to the store and enjoy my Friday night here shortly, but I will just say hi real quick to those still online. Looks like we almost have 1,000 people still online. Do appreciate you guys holding with me even through the prophecy and prayer. That's awesome. Thank you, Danny and Patty and Joe and Lynn and BG and Politically Incorrect and Kathy and Tammy and Jan and Yvonne and Mattis and Danny. Thank you so much. Lickety Split and Retired and No and GTO and Six Finger and Mark and Dee Dee and Robin and Amy Mercia, thank you for your service here, and Jan and Caffeine and Kathy and Q Curtis and Pamela. I'm hoping I'm not missing anybody as it's flowing by really fast, but Trump needs to shut down CNN and NBC, and maybe MSM will tell the truth. Yeah, it's going to be real interesting, because Mark Taylor also has one that says that God says that the media is a stench to his nostrils, and he's going to bring truth back into it. So how that happens is going to be fascinating to watch. Oh, I'm looking so forward to that day. I think it's going to happen by some of these elites that are controlling that go down and down and down, and then finally, so I think some of them are going to go bankrupt, and then eventually we're going to get truth with new media sources and or buying over with good people taking over. Yeah, I 100% agree. Who's ever saying Trump is very humble and he loves the country? That's 100% correct. God and the American people, look at the abuse he takes for us. No question about it. That man is a heart for the Lord, I believe God breathed into him the day he took office, and you just saw the difference. He's been the biggest supporter of religious liberty of any president in history, and God is blessing this country as well. It's amazing. I love this show, Rick. Thank you. Jamie, thanks for your dedication. I appreciate it, guys. Sorry I missed the last 2 days. I was on a plane and 5-hour delayed in the airport, so it wasn't a good time to give a show last night. But all right, guys, I'm going to wrap it up there. Start my Friday night. You guys have a great Friday night or Saturday morning, depending on where you are in the world. Have a great weekend. I'll probably be on the next 2 days. I love doing Sundays because I do my Bible study at the end of it. And then Saturdays are always a good day because I just have the time to rest and reflect on what we're going to talk about. But let's review a little bit about what we talked about today. We talked about BYE, Crooked Hillary. Will that be awesome as all these investigations start turning right toward the real criminals, those projecting it on Trump, and he withstood it because he has the protection of the Lord, I believe, and now it's turning all back right on to the true criminals. Bye, Hillary. Neon Revolt talks about Dissenter as well as Gab. I really hope that you guys will join me on that. It's kind of a new exciting thing to be able to have free speech, and the more we get on there, the more that's going to be a platform that gets blessed. And again, this is Let's Teach Show on Friday, March 1st. This is Rick, your host. God bless you guys. We'll talk to you next time.